Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew, and what I have for you today is a look at the Tactical Assault Panel System, or my TAPS kit. Stand by. Alright guys, so I've gotten a lot of questions over the last few months about this TAPS system and what I carry in it, how I configure it, and then maybe doing a review on it. So what I thought we'd do today is try to answer some of those questions for you, looking at the TAPS system. Now there are a lot of reviews out there for the TAPS system itself, but I'm going to do you one better by showing you how I carry all the items that I do in this kit, and the methodology and reasoning behind carrying some of those items as they pertain to survival. Now, looking at the TAPS system very quickly, we have left and right hand side canteen pouches for our canteen and canteen cup, trying to carry at least 1 to 2 quarts of water on our TAPS. Then across the top, you notice we have these pull tabs with Velcro. It's where we keep ammunition. There are 6 of these pouches for magazines carrying 180 rounds, plus that 7th magazine in our magazine well with another 30 rounds for a 210 round combat load. Across the front, we have 2 utility pouches. These are actually double magazine pouches, but I use them for utility purposes. And then 2 grenade pouches, center mass, for grenades, obviously, but then I can use these for a compass, use it for a headlamp, other smaller items that I need to get to right away, and I have them right in my front. Now, this big square pouch right here on the left hand side is my individual first aid kit, or IFAK, and typically SOP or standard operating procedure is that all shooters carry their IFAK on the left hand side. In the event they become incapacitated, their buddy can find that IFAK very quickly and administer buddy aid, helping to save that casualty. Now, picking up the TAPS, flipping it around, we have on the back our Y harness. Typically what happens is one side is opened up with the buckle and thrown over the shoulder back. Using the buckle, snap it back together, and the system is on. Now removing the harness itself and looking in the back, you can see there are 3 mesh pouches. This mesh pouch over here has a zipper on it for items that we might want to hang on to, still readily available for us, but maybe a little bit safer in a zippered pouch, like fire starting tools maybe. In the center is a large admin pouch. Typically carry map, pen and paper there, and Protractor for land navigation and operations orders. And then on the right hand side, we have another pouch of mesh for smaller items. We could carry our VS17 panel and even our Camouflage Compact in this pouch for ease of access, especially if we're in the prone. All of these items, you can see, are easy to access while in the prone, which is kind of the design behind the TAPS system, besides being able to fit over your individual body armor. Alright, so now let's talk survival methodology and why I carry the items that I carry. Back in the day, before the newer versions of the Ranger Handbook came out, Chapter 14 used to be the survival chapter. And in that chapter it talked about a layered or tiered survival kit. Layer 3 were items that were in your rucksack, larger shelter items like a sleeping bag, more food and water, medical supplies, mission essential items, and then supplementary survival items to supplement or replace items like the ones before you in the event we use or lose those. Next was Layer 2, which items that were in your TAPS system. Items more focused on the mission at hand, so ammunition, water, radio communications equipment, land navigation equipment, and then medical supplies. But we can still fit a lot of items in the TAPS system for survival itself. And then Layer 1 was what was in your pockets on your person. Typically items adhering to the 7 priorities of survival: fire, water, food, shelter, medical aid, land navigation, and signaling. The items that I have here before you are my Layer 1 and Layer 2 kit. Layer 1 is over on this side, and then Layer 2 is all the items over on this side. Now, I'm going to go over these items very quickly and try to throw out as much free chicken as I can for tips and tricks on how to modify some of these items, and then using some of these items for survival purposes, or prepping these items for a survival scenario. Alright, so quickly, let's talk about our Layer 1 before we move on and start with Layer 2. Now, Layer 1, again, is the things you keep in your pockets, designed around the 7 priorities of survival. So let's go over those items very quickly. Now the first item we're going to have is a cutting tool of some sort. In this case, I prefer a Leatherman Super Tool 300, very easy to put in the pocket and allows for a lot of multifunctionality. With this, we can carve, clean game, make notches, take things apart with a screwdriver, open up cans, even bypass locks and overcome obstacles with this one tool right here. So this is going to be the first item in our level 1 survival kit. Now the second item needs to be a way to start fire. Here we just have a ferro rod, and this is what I prefer to carry, waterproof, along with the tape sheath here I can use for tinder, using the back of the saw off of my Leatherman Super Tool. I can scrape sparks and start fire. As long as I know where to find tinder and kindling, I can make it happen. So a ferro rod is going to be that item that I carry for fire lighting. Now our third item is going to be cordage, 550 cord, ubiquitous, talk about it ad nauseum in my videos. It's going to be my cordage in my pocket. What can it do? It's good to go, all right? 550 is going to be that next item. Okay, so we talked about cutting tool, combustion device, and cordage. Now let's talk about cover. A very simple item for cover that we can carry is a cravat. Here I still have the cravat in its original wrapping. Cravat is just a 100% cotton piece of material typically used for medical aid. We can use it as a swath, a sling, we can use it for a tourniquet, use it for a splint, use it for a pressure dressing, use it for a head wrap, we can use it for camouflage, we can make char out of this. You guys have seen me take this and make char, and then we can use this for a strainer and even gathering materials. So having this on us is another cover element, but it gives us a lot of multifunctionality as well. So the cravat is going to be in our kit. Alright, now let's talk about signaling. One thing I like to carry that has a renewable lifespan is a signaling mirror for my signaling device. You can use the sun during hours of daylight and signal aircraft, signal friendly forces. And in the event this doesn't work because of inclement weather, or we lose this or break this for some reason, we can still improvise a signaling device using a smoke generator as an example. But a signaling mirror is going to be the signaling device in my pockets as part of my level 1. Alright, so we talked about a knife, combustion, we talked about cordage, talked about cover, talked about a signaling device with a signaling mirror. Now let's talk about our last three: navigation, food, and first aid. So for navigation, we could always have a compass in our pocket, but as long as I have a wristwatch on me, I could still figure out cardinal directions using a wristwatch. And you guys have seen me use the wristwatch before to find basic cardinal directions using the watch method. So this is going to be considered my land navigation device with my layer 1 or level 1 survival kit. Now let's talk about food. For food, what I like to do is grab the 1.5 ounce peanut butter packet out of the MRE and put that in my pocket. This is approximately 240 calories of food, plus the high fat content means that it's not going to draw water away from my body when I consume this, but I get that much calories into my system, and I always have a snack in my pocket, easy to carry. So peanut butter from the MRE is going to be the primary snack that I put in my pocket for an emergency. Alright, finally let's talk about our medical device. The one thing we can always carry in our pocket, especially in uniform, is a cat tourniquet. I've talked about these ad nauseum as well. So having a cat tourniquet stopping bleeding and preventing blood loss and death through exsanguination is incredibly important. So applying this, and then with this and our cravat, we have two medical devices here in a pinch that we can use. So a cat tourniquet is what we're going to carry in level 1 for medical aid. Alright, so that is level 1, or the first layer of survival, the things that are in our pockets. I'll never forget, a ranger instructor said we survive out of our pockets, we fight off of our rack, and we live out of our rucksack. And so that's always kind of stuck with me, and it makes sense with the handbook in chapter 14 of survival with the 3-layered system. So now we're done with level 1, the things that are going to go inside our pockets. Let's talk about the tap system and level 2 and the items that go into that kit. Now, you'll see we have canteens left and right hand side. Canteens are a great way to carry water. Besides the canteen, we have the canteen cup. We can use the canteen cup, fill it up from a stream, all right, and take that water, place it over a fire with the canteen cup because it is a metal container, and purify that water by boiling it. And then we can even take this container, obviously cook food in it. We can take the container and even make char cloth with it. We can put cotton material inside the canteen cup, turn it upside down against earth, and then put a fire over top of our canteen cup and create char cloth from it very easily. We can even use our cravat to create char cloth. So a metal canteen cup is a great item, and now what we can do is take our canteen cup, put it inside our pouch, And then using a piece of string, we can create a tie down with a end of line bowline loop, and then just attach it to our canteen, wrap it around the neck of the canteen, put our bottle inside the pouch, and then seal it shut with the buckle, and our 2 canteens are ready to go. Now let's talk fire. For fire, we do have that ferro rod in our pocket. We could also have a lighter too. But this means that we can add more fire items to the tap system. And a lot of the items I'd like to add, first one being a magnesium bar. It's the magnesium bar. Shave off magnesium on the back, use the small ferro on top, spark that magnesium, and it'll ignite. It burns at a couple thousand degrees, starts a fire, especially in wet conditions. We're going to cross load these items. I'm going to place it in this small pouch on the opposite side of my canteen. All right, next we have matches, and I've shown you guys the trick where you can take the small ferro rod on the bottom, crunch up a couple of matches, and then use your knife to strike that ferro rod on the bottom of the match case and to ignite the matches in the event we're without a striker. So we can take these matches, I'm going to put it on the opposite side of my kit, cross-loading it. In the event I lose one canteen pouch, I have the other canteen pouch. Now, no fire kit would be complete without some tinder, so I've got some wet fire tinder here. I'm going to take this and put it in the small pouch with my magnesium bar because it has a striker on it, so I can take that wet fire, crunch it up really quick, use the top of the magnesium bar to ignite it, and then I have flame for a fire. All right, so we've got water, fire. Let's talk about shelter. For the tap system, we obviously can't carry a lot of shelter items in this kit, but we can carry a emergency space blanket. This one just happens to be OD green on the outside with the silver Mylar inside. Take that, open up our rear pouch in the back of our tap system with the Velcro on the left-hand side of the shooter. I'm going to put that right inside for an emergency shelter device. All right, so we got fire, water, shelter. Next is going to be a knife. Now, I like to have a knife like this, just a cheap Mora that I wouldn't be too bummed out about if I lost it, but I could take this, wrap cordage around it, and then a few Ranger bands and make it a survival kit in and of itself. It's all about layering and cross-loading with our kit, as you can see. But this is just a Mora Companion that I've had for a long time that you guys have seen in other videos, and this is typically the one because it's OD green and black, subdued coloring, that I'll have as part of my kit. And there's a small pouch right behind my canteen pouch on the right-hand side where I like to put it, and it's held in place. All right, so we got fire, water, shelter, and then our knife. Now let's talk about navigation. For navigation, I have a map in a plastic bag ready to go, opened up to the area that I'm going to be operating in. Take that, I'm going to put it inside the big admin pouch in the back. All right, so we got our map inside our admin pouch. Next is our protractor. Notice that there is gutted 550 cord tied to the center of this protractor. That's so we can find degrees very easily and give ourselves a direction when we're land navigating. We can also use this gutted 550 cord to find distance, so we can get direction and distance to a next location simply by taking the gutted 550 cord from our current position, measuring it out using our fingers from the next position we want to travel to, and then adjusting it onto the grids of our map. We can get a rough estimate of the distance we're going to travel just by counting the grid squares of distance between the center point of the protractor to the end of the string from where we measured it from a point that we want to travel. So we're going to have our protractor as part of our kit for land navigation that goes right inside our admin pouch as well. All right, so we got map, protractor. Now let's talk about notebooks. We got our notebook right here. Notebook we can use for writing down information and then sharing information. What we can also do with this notebook as a tip or trick is draw a solar compass in the back page of our notebook, and then we have a ready-made orienteering tool. In the event we lose our compass, we can still use this during daylight hours to find direction and travel with a high degree of accuracy. So we'll put our notebook inside our admin pouch in the back. Now, along with that notebook, we need a pen or a writing stick of some sort. I prefer to have a map marker to write things down with. Now, a trick that you can use and that we learned in the schoolhouse is that with a map marker, if you're receiving coordinates and it's a non-permissive environment, you can write these coordinates down on a leaf, and you write the coordinates down on the leaf using a particular code, and that way you can write them down as they're given to you over the radio, have them there after you receive your radio transmission, and then plot your point. Afterwards, you can take that leaf and crumble it up, and it's gone forever, and you haven't written that down anywhere in your notebook, so it's already plotted. You know where you're going, but you've destroyed the evidence just on the chance that somebody wants to know where you're going and ask you why. But I prefer a map marker for that purpose. All right, next we have our handy dandy Lensatic Compass. Now, Lensatic Compass I prefer to have in my front pouch here that I can get to readily available, and it is gone and away. So we have our basic land navigation tools, the map, protractor, pen and paper, and then our compass. We can add to that still, and one thing I like to add is a GPS. This is the basic Garmin GPS that I bought commercially that is part of my kit for land navigation, and I put that in this utility pouch on the exterior for ease of access doing land navigation. Now, one final component for land navigation is pace beads for the kit. And this kit, what I like to do is take the buckle of the top, unbuckle it, and then put the pace bead loop over top of that buckle, put the buckle back together, and now it's stuck here where I can use the pace beads and then still have access to the whistle on top, which is another signaling device, the whistle we can use for auditory signaling that goes in our kit. And then I open up the admin pouch on back, throw this in, and then close the admin pouch, and it's good to go. All right, another signaling device that we can use is going to be that headlamp. So I just have my headlamp here with a couple of different functions. The strobe being the most important because I can strobe, and this is a passive signal for individuals to come find. But I can use this clearly at night, and we can use this to land navigate, and then we can use it for seeing at night, checking the map and compass at nighttime to make sure we have the correct reading. And it goes right inside the other grenade pouch in the front of my kit for ease of access because I routinely use it a lot. All right, so we're on to signaling now. We talked about the whistle, talked about the headlamp. Let's talk about VS17 panel. So here I've cut out the back side of the VS17 panel. The interior is orange. The back side is OD green for camouflage purposes, so I can fold this up and not much of the orange is showing, and put this inside my pocket. I can take this, put it inside the other admin pouch on my right hand side, right behind my knife, so I know where it is. I can grab it easily. One other thing we can do with the VS17 panel is cut up smaller portions of that and make improvised signals for patrolling or moving through the woods with our teammates. One way to do that is by taking a piece of VS17 and either sewing it or using safety pins to pin it inside of our boonie cap, so we can take this off, shine it, or flash it at our buddy, and then close it up really quick or put it back on our head. That's just a form of improvisational signaling. Another signal that we can use for aircraft, we can use for marking locations, we can even use for masking our maneuver if we're maneuvering on the enemy position, is going to be smoke, a colored smoke, pre-coordinated with planning purposes for signaling, and then not to be confused with other signals on the battlefield at time, but smoke is going to go in another exterior utility pouch, readily available for use in the event we need to signal aircraft or friendly forces. Next, another signal, an emergency signal. Typically we have these in a smaller format, but one thing we can carry is a flare of sorts. All we do is pop the bottom out, twist the cap off, pull the trigger, and the flare will fly. We can take this and keep it as part of our kit, an emergency signal with the opening facing down away from our face, and put it in one of our magazine pouches if they're not being used, and have another signal dispersed between our whistle, signaling mirror, our smoke, and then our VS17 panel. So it's a cross and cross-loaded of our taps, so we can grab one or the other very quickly and use it. All right, so we talked about the whistle, we talked about the smoke, we talked about the VS17 panel, we talked about the flare, a couple other signaling devices that we can have. Our Chem Lights, typically like to carry one without anything on it for marking, and then another one with 550 cord routed around it as a buzzsaw. All we do is undo the cordage, spin the Chem Light at the end of that string facing the direction we want to signal, and it creates a buzzsaw for signaling. We can take these, put them in another pouch, offset from a lot of our other items, maybe with other passive signals on that side, and use those when we need to as per plan. One of the last items we can have for signaling as well as camouflage is our Camouflage Compact. We have a mirror inside the compact that we can use just like our signaling mirror in our level 1 for signaling, as well as applying face paint to remain concealed and avoid detection. But we can take this, put it inside of our kit, and zip it up. Now, one other signaling item that I like to have as part of my kit is an IR strobe. We can take this IR strobe, can be seen at night with night vision devices for search and rescue or recovery forces. We can also use this to take away the IR filter and emit a white light for everyone to see that is an omnidirectional light. But we can also extend the body of this IR strobe to make this strobe a directional strobe, emitting a blue light in a certain direction if we know recovery forces are coming from that direction. But an IR strobe is going to be one of those final items for signaling as far as our level 2 kit, with something that's always on us, our helmet. One of the last items I like to have and put in this kit is a small sewing kit, and you guys have seen this sewing kit before. Now, it's a repair kit, but it also is my hunting and fishing kit. It has fishing line, we have hooks, snare wire, some sinkers, some razor blades, and then some lock picking devices, as well as the sewing kit that came in the actual pouch. We can take this and put it in another exterior pouch with the lanyard somewhat exposed to grab it very quickly in the event we need to repair clothing or we're going to go hunting or fishing. Alright guys, so that does it for the TAPS review in a survival loadout for typical routine field training geared towards survival. We have the layering system with our level 1, level 2, and then level 3 is over in our rucksack, and then having multiple items for level 1 in our last ditch kit, and then a lot more items in level 2, and you can assume that level 3 we're going to have a lot more and bigger items, easier to carry in a rucksack as opposed to in our TAP system or even in our pockets. But with our TAP system, you saw we had multiple items for a lot of the important things: fire lighting, land navigation, signaling. And then we cross-loaded those items left and right hand side, creating mini survival kits in and of themselves. In the event one pouch falls off or we lose some of those items, we still have some of those other items available for survival. Now, I hope you guys liked that video. Very quick video, down and dirty, about the TAP system and a lot of the items and configurations that I put in it. I hope that answered some questions. If not, always leave me a comment below. But I hope you liked this video. And if you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely leave a comment in the comments section. Let me know what you think. I always appreciate you guys for what you do for me and for the channel, for all your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.